Hello, hope everyone's well. This is for the person who has requested this, which is going through an intermediate WJEC paper. So this is the 2018 paper. We'll go through it, but as we come across things that you should know, I'll try put some stuff in. So as you can see here, I'm just gonna log in my iPad so I can scribble on this. We start off, we've got using only the numbers in the following list, write down two prime numbers that have a sum of 32. So the first thing we're going to do is identify our prime numbers. So 10, not a prime number. 11, 11's a prime number, but what do I need to add to 11? So this is non-calculator to get 32. Well, I'm going to add 21, which isn't prime, so that doesn't work. 12's not prime. 13 and 19 make 32, so therefore these must be our prime numbers. So a number that is both a multiple. So remember, a multiple means that it's in the times table. So something that's in the times table for 4 and for 6. So if we go 4, 8, 12, 12's in both. Is that in our list? Yes. So we're going to get 12. A number that is a factor. Factor means it's in, you can divide, it goes into that number exactly. So what goes into 51? Now that might not be obvious for you, and it might be easier to actually take 51 and think, what can we do to it? Well, dividing by 1 doesn't count. If we half it, what do we get? Well, it's not going to be exact because it's got a 1 on the end. What if we divide it by 3? Does it divide by 3? The way to check is you can add up the digits. 5 plus 1 equals 6. 6 is divisible by 3. That means 51 must divide by 3. Right, so 51 divided by 3. 3's into 5 are 1. We've got 2 left over, so 17. Yes, 17 is in that group. So our number that is a factor of 51 is 17. Okay, if we now scroll up, we've got, now this board is unique in the fact that it requires you to know metric to imperial units. So let's first write down a list of all the different ones that you may need to know. In the calculator paper, if it was a calculator paper, there's a way to do it on your calculator. But as this isn't, it's the paper one, which is non-calculator, we need to know these. So let's think, what's the imperial and what's the metric? So if we say 1 inch is the same as 2.5 centimeters, 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers, 1.75 pints is 1 litre, and 2.2 pounds is approximately 1 kilogram. Okay, so those are the ones that you need to know for the exam. 16 kilometers. Now, have you noticed the numbers are quite nice? You will see kilometers to miles and you go, okay, 1 mile I know is 1.6 kilometers. How do I go from 1.6 to 16? I times by 10. So I also have to times this side by 10. Therefore, it's 10 miles. Pounds and kilograms. So I know 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram. It's here. It's one of the ones that you've learned. So you've learnt this box. 4 litres. Well, we know 1.75 pints is equal to 1 litre. So if I want to know what 4 litres are, I have to times it by 4. And when I do 1.75 times 4, so that's 1 3/4 times 4, you're going to have 3/4 times 4. So it's 1 3/4, 1 times 4, which is 4. And then if you've got 3/4 times 4, that's going to give you 3. 4 plus 3 is going to give you 7 pints. Right. Next question. You've got a table that shows some values. We're going to complete this table. Now, these are usually quite easy, but be really careful with negative numbers. Because if you're going to make a mistake, or if a mistake is going to be made, it's typically going to be made when you're dealing with those negative numbers. So we've got -2 minus another 3. So that's going to be -5. 2 minus 3 to give you -1. And 4 minus 3 to give you 1. So we've completed the table now. In order to plot it, your X is along your horizontal axes and your Y is along your vertical axes. So you would then just plot the points and draw a straight line. It's not as obvious to see here, but the key bit here is they want -4 to 6 only. Don't extend your line further. Don't go past -4. Just take your line and draw your line exactly as is required. Right, maybe we should actually do that. Let's plot our points. Okay, so our points are going to be -4, -7. And then let's take, you know what, you don't even need all of them. You need the last one and the first one. And so we wanted to go to 6 and 3, wasn't it? Sorry, I said 6 and 3. Yeah. -4, -7, 6 and 3. And you're going to join those up with a straight line, but you're not going to extend your line past it. That's it. You're going to stop there. Okay, next question. The straight line you have drawn from your graph is a diagonal of a square. Write down the coordinates of the 4 corners of this square. Okay, well, 2 of the corners are going to be the corners that you plotted. And then the others will be as you go straight up. So you'll have this in front of you, it'll be easy to see, but these are your corners. You just draw your square in. Okay, -4 and 3. Okay, a bag contains a number of different coloured balls. A ball is selected at random from the bag. The probability of selecting a blue ball is 0.3. Why is the following statement incorrect? More than half the balls in the bag are blue. Okay. Well, what is half? Half is the same as 0.5. So it's incorrect because 0.3 is what? So 0.3 is less than 0.5, which is a half. That should probably get you all the marks. But just be super clear. What is the probability that a ball selected at random from the bag is not blue? Well, probabilities always add up to 1. So if you know the probability of something, you know 1 minus that something is going to be not happening. So 1 minus 0.3 gives you 0.7, and that's the probability that it's not blue. There are 50 balls in the bag. How many of them, off is your like magic word here, which means times, are blue? So we've got 50 times by 0.3, which is 50 times 3 over 10. We can cancel the 10 and the 50, and we get 5 times 3, and we're going to get 15. So 15 of them are blue. Okay. Question 5. All right, so here you need to draw a cuboid What I will do is I will print these out and I'll do all the sort of drawing questions on the next video. So it's a bit harder to do on the iPad. All right, and then we can do the volume of that too. So we'll come back to, and I fill in that question 5. Right, a table shows the first 5 terms of a sequence of numbers. Circle the correct equation that connects T6 and T7. Yeah, all right, so if we have a look at this, what can we see is happening each time? So you're going to go, how do I go from 2 to 5? I add 3. I add 3. I add 3. I add 3. Okay, so if I wanted to go to the next one, I'm taking, to get to T5, it's T4 add 3. So T7 would be T6 add 3, which is this option here. Right, the nth term of another sequence is given by 2n minus 11. Write down the 10th term. So the 10th term is substituting in the 10 into the n. Because if you have a look, you've got nth here, you've got the th here, so this is going to be your n. So 2n means 2 times n. So we've got 2 times 10 minus 11. So that's going to give you 20 minus 11, which will give you 9. The third term is putting 3 into here. So it's going to be 2 times 3 minus 11. So 6 minus 11. And that's because you're going past the 0, it's going to become negative, and you're going to get minus 5. Okay, let's have a look at another question. Find the whole number that satisfies all of the following conditions. It is a whole number, okay, between 1 and 100. Great. 10% of the numbers is greater than 2, but less than 8. Okay. Half of the number is a square number, and the number is not a multiple of 4. So I would probably start with looking at my square numbers. So square numbers mean like 2 squared, which is 4, 3 squared, which is 9, you know, and so on. So 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. So these are my square numbers. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. And 10 squared is 100. So that's probably a good place to start, because there you've limited your numbers down. And we're saying half of the number is a square number. Well, this, if we double it, is going to give us over 100. So it can't be 64 doubled will give us over 100. So it can't be any of those. So half of them are going to be one of these. So now let's double them. 8, 9 times, so we got 8, we're doubling 9, we're doubling 16, we're doubling 25, we're doubling 36, and we're doubling 49. Okay, so it could be any, so now we've got some options of numbers. We know it's not a multiple of 4. Well, 8 goes into 4, so that can go. 18 doesn't go into 4. 32 goes into 4, so that disappears. 72 goes into 4, so that disappears. 98, you can half it, but you can't half it again. So now we've narrowed it down again. So we've used these 2 things, and we know it's a whole number. So now they're saying 10% of the number is greater than 2. Well, if I work out 10% of 118, I get 1.8. So 10%, you're just dividing by 10. So that doesn't work. And we're saying is greater than 2. Well, 10% of 50 is 5. That is greater than 2. And it's less than 8. Well, hey, I think we found our number. It's 50. But let's double check with our last option. 98, 10% would be 9.8, which is greater than 2, but it's not less than 8. So the number is 50. In order to get, if you get the final answer, you get all your working. But if you had listed it like that, you'd have got some marks by just doing your square numbers. You would have got a mark at least. So make sure you do write out working. Right. So again, this is special to WJEC where they've got these marks for organization, communication, and accuracy. So this is all about how you lay out your answer. So let's see the question. In the diagram below, ABC is a square whose perimeter is 28. Now remember, a perimeter is all the way around the edge. So if you were to add up every single side, you'd get 28. Now the sides are all the same. So that means you've got 4 times any of the sides gives you 28. Okay, so we're like, okay, let's find what the side of a triangle is. Of the square is. So the side of the square, so in order to lay it out really neatly, is 28 divided by 4, which is 7. Okay. Then it tells you CDE is a right angle, perfect. And the whole area is 35. So we know that the area of a triangle is half the base. So we've got 7, 7, 7, 7. So it's going to be half times 7 times the height, which is DE, which is what we're trying to find, equals 35. Right. So now we want to lay this all out beautifully because we want to get all our marks. And that's centimeters squared. So we can times by 2 to get rid of the half because fractions are annoying. So we've got 7 times DE, if we times both sides by 2, equals 35 times 2. Remember, timesing by 2 is easy. You double it. So you double 30 to give you 60. You double 5 to give you 10. You add it together and you've got 70. So DE must be 70 divided by 7, which gives you 10 centimeters. And that's your communication. All right. So that's a lot of marks for something that wasn't that difficult, but just needs to be laid out in a systematic way. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. Right, question 9, reflect. So reflect, when you reflect something, like it's a reflection of yourself in a mirror, you're drawing a mirror line. So you always reflect it someplace. So we're reflecting it in the line y equals 1. So the first thing you're going to do is draw the line y equals 1. So it's where everything across that line, y is always 1. So we're going to go down the y-axis, which is the vertical one. We're going to find 1, and we're going to draw a line. Now, you can get, I don't know whether I've got one to hand, if you find mirroring things a bit tricky in your head, you get like a ruler with a mirror strip, which I suggest you can just put down. Or you say, okay, I'm going to count. How many squares do I have from, so I've got squares that go from that point, corner, here. I've got 2 squares. So if I was to put a mirror, they'd be 2 more there. And the whole thing would reflect this way round. So what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to draw that. So 1, 2, it's going to be drawn here. So that's my mirror line is there. Oops, I think it's trying to draw nice straight lines, but it didn't really work. But that would be my mirror, and that would be my reflecting my shape in that line. Okay. Now we want to describe fully the transformation from S to T. Now it's not a reflection. It's not a translation, which is when you just shift the whole shape because it's moved. That means it has to be a rotation. So you must have like flipped it. So if you notice, what have you done? You've got it round the clock positive and you flipped the shape by 90 degrees. So in order to get the mark here, you need 3 different things. The first thing is what it is. It's a clockwise rotation. By how much? By 90 degrees. And where from? It's as if I put my point in the origin and I shifted it round. So it's 90 degrees about the origin. Okay. Right, next question. Circle the best approximate value for the following calculation. Approximate, you want to round the hell out of it. So instead of 596, we're going to make that 600. Instead of 38.2, I'm going to make that 40. I'm going to make it numbers really easy to deal with. And instead of 11.5, I'm going to make that 10. Right, so I get 600 over 50. Cancel those out. 60 divided by 5 gives me, what does 60 divided by 5 be? Well, if you're not sure, you can do a division. It gives you 12. So your approximation would be 12. A number is increased by 4% of its value. Okay. This is done 7 times. So it's increasing by 4%, then increasing it by 4% again, then 4% again, and so on. So you're going to have 4% is 4 divided by 100. Now remember, after the decimal points, you've got your tenths, then your hundredths. So 4% is going to be there. But you want the original amount as well, which is a 1. And you're going to do it to the power of 7. So your option will be that one there. Okay, fractions. Fractions are great because once you get them, they come up everywhere. And they're like nice marks. 4/5 divide by 1/4. Now remember, when you divide, you do the like kiss and flip. So you change it to a times sign and you flip over the second one. Okay, so I get 4 times 4, which is 16, divided by 5. And that's all that line means. It means divide. So you say, how many 5s in 16? So in 16, there's, yeah. So in 16, you've got how many 5s? Well, we've got 5, 10, 15. So we've got 3 5s and we've got 1 left over. Is 3 1/5 an option? Yes, it is. Okay, perfect. So question 11. I'm not sure how many questions are in here. You can tell this is definitely live. I have I have 5 minutes and then I will make sure I come back and finish this paper. But so you can do it in 2 halves. If you need a copy, get in touch with me on social media and I will get you a copy, or I'll upload it to the resource website so you can download a copy and we'll go through the rest of the questions. I'll do them this evening and you can go through them at the next available chance you have. Okay, so we've got 30 rugby supporters travel to Cardiff on a coach. They decide to investigate how many of them can sing one or both of the songs. 12 say they can sing both. Now on this diagram, the bit in the middle represents both. So in that bit in the middle, we're going to write 12. 18 say they can sing Bread of Heaven. So that means this circle over here has to add up to 18. So we've already used 12. So how many more do we need? We're going to need 6 more here. 5 say they can't sing either. So 5's on the outside. And we know the whole box has to add up to 30. So if we do 30 minus 5 minus 6 minus 12, we get 7. Okay, and that is our universal set. I don't speak Welsh, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But we want to know the probability that they were anywhere in this circle. So remember, we had 7 here and 12 here. So altogether, that circle was 19. And the probability means it was out of something. So that'll be 19 out of 30. Right, so I hope that's been useful. I will come back and this will be a part 2 to this, where we'll go through question 12 to 16. Anyone who has the exam this week, good luck. I'm sure you guys will be awesome and you'll be absolutely fine. If I can help with anything